Hi everyone, here's my assignment presentation about Formula One management facing challenges to reconstruct financial system under new budget cap. We know that most sports like football, rugby, and basketball are much easier to have success without needing lots of money. But Formula One is instead a money game, paid to play or compete in the first place. And Formula One is breaking new ground in 2021 since the budget cap is introduced, set at $145 million this season in the wake of the pandemic and dropping to $135 million by 2023. This is forcing huge cuts at F1's biggest teams and leads to the problem this report is dealing with. How can the large constructors allocate a limited budget? In other words, increase cost efficiency, since there are many factors that will affect the race results of the team. In 2014, Lozano proposed a method to evaluate constructors' efficiency in the F1 championship using a non-parametric frontier method, namely data envelopment analysis. It basically quantifies managerial efficiency using budget as input and concludes that across different F1 seasons, constructors' relative efficiency varies, and benchmarks are set by identifying the budget reductions should have to be done. Based on this study, I also use the number of wins and points as a measure of the performance. The donut chart here shows how much each team account for total points they earned in all races from 2020. Here, the donut chart shows that Mercedes scored almost half of the total score. Red Bull scored second, and the rest of the team's rankings can be seen from the percentages. And in fact, the donut chart is not appropriate here. If we want to show the ranking, bar charts will show it better. And donut charts are more useful to compare areas of growth with business, such as turnover, profit, and exposure. Combined with their results per season, it will be possible to better analyze the advantages and shortcomings of the expenditures. And besides, I have chosen the fastest lap speed as an ancillary object of study. We know that Formula One is a race that milliseconds count. So should a team invest more expenditure on extreme speed? As we can see from the graph, it is not the case that the faster you are, the more you win. The highest scores and the most wins are concentrated in the 180 miles per hour and 240 miles per hour range. So from 2021, Formula One will no longer be as easy for large teams as it used to be. And there will no longer be endless funds to support them in hiring top drivers, transforming cars, and building efficient teams with a large number of people. The pandemic has had a worldwide impact on Formula One, leaving Formula One stakeholders stressful to modify their financial policies. To make things even worse, the budget cap announced in October last year, chasing after championships, has become more than a game of capital. Management should reevaluate their allocation of capital to each segment and make sustainable decisions to stay in Formula One industry. So constructors management should refine the overall efficiency investigation into investigations of the efficiency of different operating segments. Before fixing the budget, the manager can use the previous year's spendings in each segment and the corresponding race results as input and target variables to deploy the DEA model to evaluate the efficiency of each segment's financial efficiency so that the budget can be cut more targeted. Meanwhile, using the number of wins and points as the measure of performance can be limited at some point. Spending on the R&D segment, which is research and development, can also bring some social value. For example, in 2020, Mercedes AMG teams joined forces with University College London Hospital to produce a CPAP unit, which delivers oxygen to the lungs without needing a ventilator, benefiting patients and doctors during the pandemic. Therefore, when evaluating the cost efficiency of each segment, social responsibility can also be involved in the assessment model. The result has some limitations. From the perspective of data selection, the budget expenditures of major constructors in each year should be included in the data frame. From the data visualization of speed and grid above, many features will be affected by both the driver's level and performance of the car. Therefore, when evaluating the cost efficiency of each department, selecting only race results will be limited by intercorrelation, leading to bias and errors. And the last point is from a hypothetical point of view, this report accumulates the race results of each year when studying the factors that affect points. Although the input of F1 teams in the competition tends to be homogeneous, further research should still select data at the same time node to make the results more comparable.